Okay, peeps, welcome back. So today we're going to be going over the grayscale trusts. With that being said, let's get it. Okay, so LTCN, as you guys know, still sitting on this trend line. Nothing's changed here. I have noticed that the RSI is getting pretty close to oversold on the weekly time frame, so that could be a strong indication we're close to basically having a reversal here. So pretty much the trend line sitting between now and I would say roughly about November is going to be support unless it gets broken. So that's roughly 1150 to 1250. If we do get a break below this, the next support is going to be roughly about $6.50 to $8. In terms of resistance, we're looking at roughly, I would say roughly about 13 to 15, 25 to 27, and then 54 all the way up there at the swing highs. Above and beyond that level, you're looking at roughly about 75, 100 to 135, 3 to 400, and then 510, which is the previous all-time high. So 40%, 157%, and roughly about a 417% gain here. Now, theoretically, if it gets down to this green box, the gains, of course, could become even more significant. So 124%, 295%, and then 691%. And keep in mind, that's just to get back to that control bar top there. That does not include going up to 100 plus. BCHG, very similar story, except we have support here. So I will once again say that I think this trend line is probably going to be what we're going to look at from probably about now until November. So 5.25 to roughly about the bottom of this range here. So 670, 680, somewhere in there as support. And then we have 770 as a target, 1030, 1260. And $24 respectively. So if I give you guys the measured moves on these, we'd be looking at roughly about 36%. If you could sell at any of these points, of course, it's your guys' position, so you can do what you want with this. So it'd be 83%, 125%, 216%, 250%, and then roughly about 316%. HZEN, so we did get a bounce off support, but it looks like we're coming back down to it. Again, the falling wedge target, which is a bullish pattern, is the top of the wedge, so that's 1050. For support, we're looking at 250 to 290. Resistance, 385 to 420. And then you have roughly about 690 to 810 there. So, I mean, it's pretty close to the buy zone. If I was going to get this, I would start getting it now. That's just me, of course. So 42%. 133%, 175%, and roughly about 254%. ETCG. So we had a nice little V-shaped recovery, but not really so sure it's going to hold here. We'll just have to wait and see. But $8.70 to $10, roughly going to be about support here. And then you have the roughly $11 to $13 at that channel. $15.70, and then all the way up here at, I'd say about $17.60 to $20, somewhere in there, as those are all potential targets. Just so you guys know, if you're wondering, well, why are you listing off those levels? Well, that's the reason why, because if at any point you guys want to take profit, you probably want to know what these different areas are. So 14%, 34%, 61%, 80%, and then 105% respectively. Just so you all know, I'm not really looking at the bottom of this channel as a target, more so kind of the top of this channel and then the top of this range, since the channel and the range kind of mix in together. ETH, so there's a gap here that needs to be filled. That's roughly about 23 to 25. Personally, I'd either wait for a pullback down to the bottom of this candle here at roughly about 1850. If you guys take a close look here, you can see that it is actually kind of a support zone going all the way back here before we ripped. So that's where I'd be looking to get in. You guys can do what you want. So support below that, roughly about 11 to 1560. Resistance, roughly about 2330 to 2850. And then you have your cup and handle target up here at 46. You guys can see the big cup here, and then the handle, and then the breakout. So if you got in at this white line, you'd be looking at roughly about 54 to almost 150% move. So Philgy, we did get a close. I mean, the week's not over yet, but we are below this, still below this resistance level here. So I'm kind of more looking at 4 to roughly about this $12 range, potentially as a buy area. Not sure if it's going to get there or not. We'll just have to wait and see. I mean, this thing could be one of those undercuts that I talked about with you guys, where they basically, this would be a support zone, but they kind of fake you out to the downside, stop some people out, and then go up from there. So resistance here, 37 to roughly about $40, somewhere in there. And then the previous all-time high is sitting at about 400. So assuming that we do get down to this support zone, it would be 450% to about 4,800%. However, if this is an undercut and then it does just go straight back up to the support and basically reclaim support here, then the move would then become 913%, which is completely possible. So GBAT, nice little bounce here. It does look so far like maybe it wants to hold. We'll just have to wait and see on this one. Got to kind of move these lines and stuff over a little bit so it's a little more clear what's going on here. So potential breakout to the upside or downside, roughly about that September timeframe, which is bearish seasonality, but I've already told you guys that I think likely we're probably not going to have a bearish September. The other thing I want you guys to keep in mind, though, is that the Jackson Hole Symposium is this Friday, and Powell's going to come out and speak. And yeah, let's just hope he says something dovish. That would be great for all of us, I would say, so we can see prices go up and we can kind of have that one-off in September where things do go up instead of going down. So support here is 430 to 510. Resistance $8 to roughly about, I'd say about 970 there, and then 32 all the way up at the highs. So from support, which is where I'd be looking to buy in, 64%, 105%, and 560% respectively. That's just where I'd be looking to buy in. You guys can buy in wherever you want to. So GLIV, $12 to $14.60 at support there. All the way up the highs here, you have roughly about $80. I really don't think it gets below the support level simply because this is a multi-year, multi-month support. I think it's probably going to hold most likely. So 530% gain there. G-Link, nice little bounce, very bullish wick there at the bottom of that green candle on support. So I suspect this support is going to hold. This support is currently roughly about 37 to 45. Resistance is 66 to, I'll just call that 85. So 66 to 85. And then the all-time high is up there at 220. Do keep in mind, so 93%, 404% on this one. Do keep in mind that a lot of these altcoin related grayscale trusts probably are not going to see their biggest gains until we get an actual alt season in the native crypto space. Okay. So Bitcoin goes up and then money transfers from Bitcoin to Ethereum, Bitcoin dominance falls, and then we see an alt season subsequently after that. And the ETH Bitcoin dominance chart goes up. So ETH gains over Bitcoin. And that's usually when we see an alt season. We'll see a lot of these down here start to pop off. So GSOL, I would say support could be anywhere from 390 all the way down here to this November timeframe, 270. Do what you want with that. The support I'd be looking at here is 170 to 200. I do think Solana is a good project. I just really don't want to buy up here at these highs. So 580 at the all-time high. If I were just to measure it from here to the all-time high, you'd be looking at 54%. If I go out to November, and let's assume that maybe it's down here at this 270 area, which I mean kind of lines up. You have like a little bit of wicks down here. This is roughly about 115% move. If it gets down to this green box, which I really don't think it's going to, but I just list it just so you guys know, it's roughly about 215%. GXLM, so we did get below the white line, unfortunately. I was really thinking that wasn't going to happen, but you really never know in crypto. I mean, crypto is always kind of a toss-up. We can only do things based on probabilities here. We can't say for certain something's guaranteed to happen or not. So if this does hold below the line here, then likely the next bounce area is going to be roughly around 14. I'll still say 25 is going to be the support unless it closes below on the week. But you guys probably want to know the updated stuff forward looking, so we'll just go with the 14 metric here. So targets we'd be looking at would be, for profit, would be 52, 58, 70, and roughly about 70% there. So going from these lows down here, you'd be looking at roughly about 322 and 396%. Mana, so this one is holding at the support. It has actually come back above it. So we'll just call this basically support now. So roughly about the $11 level is what we're looking at for support. Resistance 17.50 to about 20.50, or we'll just say $17 to $20. Nice even round numbers, easy to remember, right? So 70 is going to be your all-time high up there. So the potential return here is 83% and 505% respectively. And last one here is Zcash. So we did get kind of this double bottom formation here, possibly even a W pattern, which is a very bullish pattern. I don't remember exactly how to calculate the targets on the W pattern, but presumably if it started up here, it's likely going to end up at this price. So that's roughly about 10.5 or 10.25, somewhere in there. Either way, it's still sitting as support. So support right now is 440 to 510. Again, it looks like it's kind of in accumulation when it goes sideways like this and doesn't really do much of anything. It doesn't go up or down. It's kind of just mostly sideways. If I can show you guys, like, a good way that I always measure this is I usually just take two white lines here and I kind of say, okay, this is kind of pretty much what we're looking at here. You have a couple of undercuts here. Of course, this could also be considered the bottom of the range. You have a couple of wicks here, overcuts, but it's mostly in the middle, right? So anything in this range I consider to be accumulation. Or basically, if you just see something sideways, going sideways at a support, that is also known as accumulation. So 440 to 510 here is support, $8 to 960 a resistance, and then the high up there at 10.25. So from the current price, you're looking at roughly about 62%, 95%, and 110% respectively. So anyways, hope you all enjoyed this content. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see y'all later. Peace.